This is going to be another longer video. We're going to be talking about solving percent problems. There are a lot of different types of percent problems, so let's get started. With our percent problems, we start with the basic formula, amounts equals rate times base. What does that mean? Your rate is your percentage. If you prefer using the formula A equals P times B, where P is the percentage, that's fine too. You can write that in your notes if you want. A equals, that's not supposed to be an arrow. A equals percent times base. So base is your original amount. So base is your original. Your rate or percent is going to be the percent. A is your final amount. So you have an original amount and you have a final amount. A is going to be your final amount, B is your original amount. So let's take a look at problem 37 together. What is 9% of 350? So we have a base of 350. That is our original amount. We're trying to figure out what 9% of it is. So A equals 9%. And now remember, when we are doing these problems, we have to write our percent as a decimal. Do not keep your percent or you're going to end up with a larger number for your amount than you do for your base. And we're only looking for a fraction of it. We're only looking for 9%. So convert that into a decimal times base, which is 350. So let's see what that is in our calculator. It's 31.5. Another way to write the same question, or a similar question, 30% of 75 is what number? So our base rate is 75. We're trying to figure out what 30% of it is. So A equals, again, write your percent as a decimal. So what's 30% times 75? 22.5. Find 13.5% of 500. And that's our third way of asking a very similar question. So we're still looking for our amount. We have a base and we have a rate or a percentage. Turn that percent into a decimal. And we'll go ahead and put that in our calculator. And we get 67.5. So here's an actual word problem with percentages. Suppose you buy an electric drill with a retail price of $109.97 in a city with an 8.5% sales tax. What is the amount of sales tax going to be? So we have the original amount and then we have the sales tax. So we need to find the amount of sales tax. That's going to be our A time, which is equal to, turn your percent into a decimal, times 109.97. What's our sales tax going to be? $0.085. $9.35. Whenever you see a dollar amount, Make sure you round to the nearest cent. Nobody is ever going to pay a fraction of a cent. So we can say $9.35. How much do you pay in total? So we have the sales tax, we have the original amount, we just got to add them together. So we'll take that amount, add 109.97, and we get 119.32. Now, I would recommend pausing the video at this point and working through the student-led example. All right, I'm assuming you've worked through the student-led example. I really want to make sure you guys are working through these because the only way you're going to get good at this is with practice, and this is going to be a no-pressure situation. You're not graded on this other than with class participations. Pass, fail. If you get them wrong, you still get credit. Here's a reminder of what we can translate from words into algebra. Remember, is means equals, of means multiply, and what means a variable. All right, we are still working with A equals R times B, amount equals rate times base. Now we have different things to find out. We're going to try to find the rate. So looking at number 1, 56 is what percent of 60? So let's read this, looking at our algebra words. 56 is means equals what percent, X percent, of 60. Whenever you see what, you can think X. Solve for X, we'll divide both sides by 60. And let's see what we get X equal to. Remember, X is a decimal here. We're going to have to convert it to a percent. 0.93 repeating. What percent is that? We'll have to move the decimal place twice, and we get 93.3 repeating percent. What is 3 repeating? Do you remember? Do you remember how to figure it out? If you don't, take a minute, look back in our repeating decimals section. If you happen to know what 3 repeating is off the top of your head like I do, that's fine too. That's going to be the same thing as 93 1/3%. I will not be giving any credit if you say that it is 0.3%. It is not. It is 1/3%. Make sure you're converting your repeating decimals correctly. Let's look at the next one. What percent of 120 is 45? So what percent of means multiply, 120 is means equals 45. We'll divide both sides by 120 and solve for X. So X equals 45 over 120, which is 0.375. And now we have to convert this into a percent. So we have to move our decimal 2 spots, and we get X equals 37.5%. If we wanted it as a fraction, 37.5%. Either of those would be acceptable.